This is NYC Boom, and this is Double A Club Podcast. And joining me here is a special guest. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, Berto? My name is Owen Hallihan. I'm an ex-master certified personal trainer, trained down in Orlando, Florida for about 6, 7 years or so. And currently I am in the service, joined the Army National Guard as a Apache mechanic. And so that's where we're at right now.
Well, um, thank you for serving. And
I
and
pre-
you know, going back to certified personal trainer, I met you at Gold's Gym in Orlando, and we worked together there for a few years before I left. Um, and I believe that that was the first place that ever worked for that instead of getting a pay raise, you got a pay reduction.
oh
And I
yeah,
believe
we got a couple of those.
yeah, and I know a lot of people didn't like me because I was very vocal about the shit.
Hmm.
But I was like, yo, I don't want to cut my pay.
Yeah.
That that's not me, man.
Hmm.
John, that fucker. And then just gonna share a couple people the story about you. You moved to the Carolinas, I believe, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I moved back home.
And
So I'm actually from here. So moved back home to do some cooking stuff. I'm also a certified chef. I had some years doing that, and so I've done a lot of stuff like at the higher end of a career because I wanted to learn the basics and then move my way up, like we do with training and we do in the culinary field now. In the service and serving our country. So yeah, I
Mhm.
moved back to South Carolina. That's where I'm at right now, and that's
and
where I
you've
joined the
been there
guard.
since.
Yes.
Yeah. And and then I've been following social media. You've been doing a lot of boxing training and stuff like that for
Hmm.
yourself. And then you was I believe you was going through the process of joining the National Guard.
Yeah.
And you got admitted and started your boot camp.
Yes.
So and you're a perfectly healthy person. You're in your
Hmm.
early 30s, 33, right?
Yes, I'm 33, and kind of joined on the later side of the military. I was going to join when
Uh,
I was 18, but I couldn't do it because I had some shoulder issues. But 33, I was healthy as a horse, and came in at my strongest, and joined really late in life. So, but joined nonetheless.
I mean, I don't think it really matters. I mean, they have an age cap, right? Isn't it 35?
Yes, 35. Yeah, 35
Yeah,
with
so
waivers.
like
So
you just made it. You was pretty strong. I mean, you
yeah.
how much do you weigh?
Right now, it's probably like 180 right now. But
But
when you
that's
knew me, I was probably about 200 almost.
almost
And
right.
just lifting all the
I
time.
say
Yeah,
like one around 190, 195,
yeah, somewhere in
and
there.
you was deadlifting close to 400 pounds.
We got over that. We ended up pulling we'd had a 500 deadlift that was recorded. So I've gotten a 500 deadlift. I've gotten a 405 squat. I can't do that anymore. I will tell you that. That phase is kind of like long gone. So we just kind of
I
stick
don't
around
want to
350
do
to
that
do the
anymore.
reps.
Yeah, but you're a strong guy for someone kind of thinner framed,
Mhm.
and you didn't have it. There was no red flags, any complications, or anything that
Mhm.
the military said that would make them not allow you to join.
So when I signed up, when I went to MEPS, I had a red flag waiver, and it was for my shoulder. This was something I had any red flag waivers, you are not fit to serve at all. You have to go through a waiver process, which I don't know. I think it's like an E6 to an E8 or something like that. It has to sign those papers over, just to allow you to be able to go to basic training or even take the next set of steps
Mhm.
in the signing process. But I had a red flag waiver for my shoulder because I had shoulder surgery in high school from playing football. And so did my orthoscopic surgery. And that was maybe 2008. We're talking it's 2024. And so
Yeah,
something that's, years behind me, they're still red flagging this, says you're not fit to serve right now. So I just took the lady in the office like this, Berto. I said, man, grab my hand. I picked that lady up like this and put her back down. And she goes, soldier picked me up in their office. Shoulder's fine. and so they ended up clearing me for that waiver. So I got cleared for all the red flag waivers that I did have, which that was just one of them. I ended up having three of them. I can't remember what the other two were for, but I got cleared to be able to serve. So nothing that was pressing enough for me not to be able to get a waiver for. I would say that. So
Okay. So pretty much healthy as an ox, good to go.
yeah,
Proved your strength. This
very much
thing,
so.
these red flags are not going to be actual red flags. They're red flags because something happened in the past, but
Hmm.
they're perfectly healed, ready to go.
Yeah,
So,
everything was ready to go.
so you go, you enter boot camp now,
Hmm.
right? It's boot camp is the beginning of it, right?
Yeah, that's the first steps. I went to boot
Because
camp. I signed June 18th, 2024, and went to boot camp September 25th.
I've
So I
never
had some
been in the
time.
military, so I don't know. I don't know this process, so you may have to educate me more. So boot camp
I got you.
is the first thing you do, the first phase.
Yeah, it's the first phase, and it is taxing. You know, talking about all them years of working out, where
Yeah.
I ain't never worked out in my life. I don't feel like we probably did 3,000 push-ups in the first 3 days we were there.
I would
Um,
I would imagine it's kind of more like a CrossFit type of thing, but continuous. You know what I'm saying?
It's more like you've got children that won't stop talking, and they
Yeah.
get you in trouble for the entire time
Yeah.
while you're there, and now you have to
Yeah.
get reprimanded every single, like you turn the corner, it'd be like forward march, stop march,
Yeah.
do push-ups, like it'd be something
Yeah.
like that. Get out of
Yeah.
bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, you got push-ups to do. And it's like God, tell just for people
Yeah.
misbehaving and stuff like
You're
that. But
always getting in trouble for someone, and if someone's not doing something wrong, they're just gonna
mhm,
blame it on somebody, and just you're
mhm,
gonna get chewed out anyway. Yeah, I had to go through the same shit in the academy for
mhm.
corrections and the police. That bullshit. I was like, yo, fuck this. But yeah, so you going through boot camp. Go ahead,
Mhm,
tell us your experience of boot camp. Like for people who've never been through it and never experienced it and only seen the movies,
mhm.
tell us how it really is.
The first 3 days were the hardest days of my entire life because you had to sit and just wait. That's a military standard, and it's a common phrase. You hear anybody that talks about the military, ask them about sitting and waiting. They'll call you to get somewhere, and you're supposed to be somewhere 15 minutes before, and Bertie, you might be sitting in that same spot for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't move, can't talk, ain't supposed to talk to nobody. But we had to do a lot of sitting and waiting, and so that was the first 3 days we were there. You know, they had to we got our head shaved. You look like knobs, like doorknobs and stuff like that, and um, the only times like you move when you're supposed to move, you breathe when you're supposed to breathe, you do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to, you ate when you're supposed to eat, you sleep when you're supposed to sleep, and so trying to follow that part was not the hard part because again I'm a little bit older, but watching the age gap from somebody being older and then somebody being younger, you know, you're almost getting like you're having a lot of this, like stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that. And eventually, you know, now I'm being reprimanded for somebody way over there doing the wrong thing, and that became the common trend of boot camp. That was the more or less that was the common thing. So I had to look at like, you know, do I sit down and talk to these people? I was a lot older, so I got a lot of people. They called me Unk at
Mm-hmm.
basic training. Most of the guys that was there were there maybe like 18, 19. One guy was 17. So the new wave of everybody coming up is very much so like out of high school, you know, fresh, about to go to college, you know, using the military to get some college money. And but boot camp was it was a lot of consistent scheduling. You knew exactly what you were supposed to do. You had a time to do everything. You were told what to do. You were told what to wear. You were told when to go to sleep. You were told when you were going to be when we go marching and stuff like that. So you knew what was going on. So boot camp was not hard. I will say that boot camp was just it was difficulty and something being just hard. Like difficulty today could be something very easy for me. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a little more difficult. We had to do land navigation, which I've never done that before, but I've used a compass. And you know, I got to be outside, got to do my rednecky stuff. You remember they used to call me a bunch of redneck names back at the gym and whatnot. But you got to do some like a lot of outdoor stuff. Got to shoot a lot of guns. Got to. I mean, we thank God for taxpayer dollars because we shot a lot of ammunition.
Yeah, I
But
bet.
we shot a lot. We did a lot of stuff outside. We camp. I mean, we didn't necessarily do some camping, but we slept outside a couple of nights on some of our larger marches, and you know, got to learn a lot more about the militaristic mindset and what goes into doing that. Learn more about from basic, I could tell you all the stories that we did, but some of the more important stuff is we learned a lot of teamwork, a whole lot of teamwork. That I'm a member of a team. Whether there's creed that we say that says I'm an American soldier, I'm a warrior, and a member of a team, and you learn this mindset, and you just build this mindset inside you that the guy beside you is responsible for having your back, and I'm supposed to be responsible for having his, and then vice versa, everybody around here. But bro, there's some people I would never want even to stand in my presence that were in that same kind of space. And you learn that about these people, but you still are a member of a team. So how can I utilize your assets, like what you're an asset to, for not my benefit, for my own safety? But the military very much so takes care. Basic training took care of those bits and pieces. Like there's some people that just never made it through. There are a lot of people just ended up quitting. And if you quit the military for basic training, you know what they do for you?
No.
They make you stay the whole entire time and watch everybody else do that stuff until it's time for you to go, which about, if it's a 10-week basic training, you're there for like 8 or 9 weeks and they hold you
That's
there.
weird. Why would
And
they
so,
just
hey, that's what you get for quitting. 100%. If you're thinking about joining
so
the military, do not quit.
so
Do
they
not
just so they just
stay.
watch, or they have to
Mhm.
still do the shit?
Stand there and watch. Stand there and watch. It's kind. I'll be honest with you. It's kind
It's
of
weird.
funny. It's
Yeah, it
kind
is
of funny.
funny.
It is a little weird, but
It's
like
a
it's also
mind
like
game. I see.
it
I
is.
see what they're trying to do.
It is,
Yeah.
but like I don't want somebody that wants to quit standing beside me. That if you're in a firefight, I don't want the guy
Yeah.
beside me saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done."
Yeah.
So,
No.
but it built this great amount of teamwork, not necessarily in the guy beside me, but in me. And
Mhm.
being older, I was able to work on actually teaching other people beside me that kind of thing. And I believe that if I'm able to stay, I'd make a great NCO. I'd make a great non-commissioned officer in the military to be able to take younger people and teach them in the process, which is something that my drill sergeants saw in me too. They saw me, taking leadership roles in task and taking leadership roles in our bay where we slept, in our platoon. And so I was very much so watched, and also appreciated in that as well. And I didn't get any preferential treatment at all, but at the end of basic training, so we went through 10 weeks of basic training. I ended up winning an award, which is like I ended up winning like an Army service coin, and it was for Soldier of the Cycle. So I won an award that was like their top soldier out of the whole entire battalion, not battalion, but our company that we had. And so I was recognized by our drill sergeants for leadership qualities. And so my experience of basic training was that it was not hard, it was difficult, because now I'm having to work with other people that have never been worked with before.
Mhm.
I'm having to ruck and run with other people that have never rucked and ran before. But in the process, I'm having to, teach people how to breathe while they're doing certain things. I'm teaching people how to recover and stretch when we have those downtimes and stuff, because this is the person supposed to have my six. They're supposed to have my back. And so drill sergeant, the NCOs, they saw this kind of stuff that I was bringing to the table with my platoon specifically. So you kind of worked with your own platoon. You have your own company of 4 platoons, and in the end, we're actually all in competition with each other, but as one company, trying to build
Mhm.
everybody up in the process. But um, I learned how to lead in a different capacity, and something I had no knowledge about whatsoever. And it was really cool to do that on such a large scale. I mean, this is the United States military. This is the strongest, most elite fighting force in the whole entire world. Regardless what anybody else says, this is the strongest, most elite fighting force in the entire world. And to be a part of that in my MOS, which is my military service operation, which I chose to do, which is to be an Apache mechanic, to be able to work with those aircraft and these, bro, it's cool as crap being able to fix
Yeah.
something and know how to fix it, and you're being given this opportunity to work with equipment that's tens of millions of dollars. But somebody trusts you in doing that. It's because that's why we go to our AIT schools, so we can learn some advanced and individualized training. And so I've learned a lot from basic. But the biggest thing I picked up was that something that seems hard, you change your mindset. This is just difficult. Now I have to overcome they're little obstacles. Like, hey, I only got 12 minutes to eat food. Well, you better eat your food in 12 minutes. Well, that's not enough time. You better figure it out. You're told when to do something. You're told when not to do something. You're told what you can and can't do. And that's a pretty easy concept to live off of. And bro, we get that stuff on a daily basis anyway, from our
Mhm.
bosses, from our parents,
Mhm.
from our friends, from our significant others, and just seeing the different mindsets of people and the younger generation coming up through that was um, it was different. It was very different. But that was pretty much my experience at base. A lot of running. I did a lot of pushes. My chest got bigger. I got stronger there too. I got more. I probably got more mentally strong than anything else. But
You definitely got more mentally strong because it's really
oh
more
yeah.
mental than actual
Hmm.
physical strength. So
And if
yeah.
you have you ever stood, you ever stood somewhere for 4 hours, like
Well,
just stood like this for four
not
hours?
4 hours, no, but I've had to stay still for like almost 30, 40 minutes in
I heard that
and if you lock your knees, you're gonna
you'll
pass
pass
out.
out and fall out. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I learned how to stand, do push ups, and deal with younger folks. So
So
that's
so looking at the younger soldiers, the younger men entering the military, right? Like, what is your
mhm,
perception of them physically and mentally? Like, because you had to deal with majority, probably 95% of them were young, were really extremely young. Like, there was
yeah.
probably not many people close to your age, not even 26, probably.
Out of maybe out of maybe 200 people in my, and it's just in my company, there's probably a
Yeah,
thousand, maybe 900 in our whole battalion, but
there's.
the the age range is probably pretty similar per company too. But in
Mhm.
Echo Company 439 at Fort Jackson, there may have been 20 people that were elder of 26 to 28 years old and up.
Yeah.
I was on the higher end of that. That's why they called me Unc. And one kid made a mistake, called me Grandpa one time,
Oh,
and
mistake.
yeah, I just emptied his camel back out. So
So your perception of this our younger generation come up. Like, what do you think? What do you think based on these guys? Like these
there's
youngins.
I would say there's hope in any human being because we have this God's given us this opportunity of free will to change how we are. Now the military would not allow you to be on the lower end of a standard. You know, the standard is exactly what we're supposed to meet. Like that's the baseline, which is the standard. And they give us our, I think the minimum score you can have on a PT test is maybe 360, and that's the bare minimum, but they're requesting that you shoot it for like a 420 or no, a 540, which is like they love to see this stuff right here. But a 360 is like the minimum standard, which is not hard to get a 360.
Hmm.
um, I would say it's difficult to get a 360 if you're out of shape and overweight and stuff like that. But basic training will build soldiers out of just regular people.
Hmm.
And it very much so. I got to watch people just come in, just be the laziest POSs you've ever seen in your life to turn into these young men. And so
Hmm.
basic is designed for that capacity. It's also used to wean out the people that want to quit when stuff gets difficult. They just want to quit, and so you don't want those people beside you or behind you. So to say to ask that question at the beginning of basic training is one thing. To ask it at the end is a whole nother ballgame, because now you have these young men that have now come up, these young women that have now come up, and the rest of them that quit and didn't want to continue, they're all gone. They're doing something else with their life. So you don't have to worry about this person, having your six or having your bag. Now you just worry about the people beside you that wanted to continue and go on. And the military, there, I will tell you that the changes the military has made is going to give us a stronger fighting force going forward. Is it a different fighting force? Absolutely. But the standard and the way that the military fights now it is different. We don't have people running through the woods with machetes anymore, guerrilla warfare type style. We have more there's more of a uh, technological way that fighting is done now. There's more drones. There's more cameras in the sky. There's more UASs that are flying around, and we have more opportunities to see the enemy before they see us. And it's not so much that we're painted faces up in the woods, as much as we are sitting in a comfortable space, being able to witness something happen before it occurs. And so I think the military, the group that's coming up, is going to be trained by people that have learned the old way and the new way of training. And so they
Hmm.
get to pass both of these operations down to this new group of people, and the new group of people will both learn from the old style and the new style. We learned the old style kind of at basic training, and at AIT, at our advanced individualized training, we learned the new way that stuff is done. So you get to see this old style and this new style be both meshed together, and now these NCOs can now teach both of these things. So um, anybody that has joined the military and has come up through basic training is going to be an asset to the United States government. And be an asset to our fighting force. It's there's some people that are still They still kids, but they will learn in the they will learn over time, like what it takes to be there, um, for their battle buddies and for their country. So I like where what I've seen coming up. I do like what I've seen coming up, and coming up as an older individual. Um, I've been able to help correct some things in the process. Being we're in the same rank too, but be able to correct some stuff before an NCO sees something, and be able to kind of teach and teach prosperity towards these younger kids before they get a chance to be reprimanded. And I've gotten some thank yous. I've also gotten some FUs. But at the end of it, it is what it is, and the good will stand out, and the bad ones will wean their ways away. But I like where stuff is going. I do very much so like what's happening.
Well, based on what you're mentioning about the military, you're, I think you everything's right. What you're saying, we are going into more of a technology type of warfare, and
Hmm.
I think that the warfare that will be fought physically with the old school machetes, because I miss the machetes, um,
Yeah.
is gonna be the special operations or special
Hmm.
units, or I don't want to say like it's gonna be SEALs, but it's gonna be special groups
Oh yeah,
that are
absolutely.
gonna be that are gonna be dealing with that now, and it'll probably be it'll be in
Hmm.
smaller units, smaller companies, instead of like big tanks and shit like that. I don't think we're gonna be doing that with people actually in it and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that,
Hmm.
because my daughter is probably still thinking about joining the military, um,
Hmm.
and she's leading towards the Air Force if she does do it, because she wants to do. She's studying. She's in school for mechanical engineering,
Okay.
so that's what she wants to go to continue her education. So if she goes in there, I think it'd be probably for a bachelor's or a master's degree, because she's already in school trying to finish off the 2 year or the 4 year, something like that. So not sure. She might be older. She might be like 24 when it happens. So
Okay.
she's gonna be an auntie.
She might be. She might still be one of the young ones, man.
she might. But
She
yeah.
might.
So yeah. So we're going through this whole thing, and you displayed incredible leadership. And to be honest with you, the people who are leaders
Hmm.
understand that they're going to get people who are going to listen and comply, and they're going to get people who are going to say fuck you, I don't want to listen.
Hmm.
So that's just part of leadership. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was working in Gold's Gym and telling everyone, hey, this fucking John guy's a crook, I got a whole lot of fuck yous. And it's true.
Hmm.
And I'm like, bro, like, you really want to get paid less?
Hmm.
Because I don't. It happens. That's part of leadership. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to accept it and not take it personal. So you're displaying all this leadership and everything, and you're you're near the end of basic training, right? Or you finished basic training. You
I
finished
already
basic
finished
training, you
basic
got
training.
awarded.
I'm at my advanced individualized training right now. Up at Fort Eustis, Virginia. I'm not there right now. I'm on convalescent leave, but I'm currently stationed at Fort Eustis.
So what
Um,
is that training you're talking about?
In advanced individualized training, everybody that signs up has an MOS, and you choose your job before you go to
Yeah.
basic training. And
Hmm.
so when you're at basic training, everybody is doing the same stuff. You're not doing
Hmm.
anything that is specific. There's any specificity towards your future job. You are doing the same push-ups. You're doing the same
Yeah.
marches. You're doing the same everything, just to be able to build the basic standard. And your advanced individualized training is a specificity school for whatever your job is. So for me as an Apache mechanic, I'm going to Fort Eustis and Langley to learn how to fix aircraft. They don't do that at Fort Jackson. They don't do
Hmm.
that at Fort Benning. They don't do that at Fort Leonard Wood. They don't do that in any other place. They do it specifically right there. And so I'm learning how to fix aircraft at this spot. So everybody that has signs up for a job, they go to specific places. So some of the
Hmm.
people I went to AIT or went to basic training with are at my AIT too. There's Apache mechanics, there's Chinook mechanics, there's people that work on the hydro side, which is like our hydraulics. There's people that work on the electrical side. There's people that work on the Blackhawks. So
Mm.
eventually, some of those people may go and be, officers and fly helicopters. They may go into the officer route and have to go to OCS at some point, which is officer training school, or officer training candidate school. And so right now, I'm just learning what I'm supposed to be doing for my job in the military. So
And this
they
is
give you
phase
these,
two.
basically phase two. Essentially, it'd be phase two. Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened?
So on
Just
my medical side,
what?
so at
Yeah, what? Tell us what you can tell us.
so I can tell you about the majority of my issue. Very healthy coming out of basic training. I had
We
no
we
issue,
we just made that clear how healthy you were.
no issues whatsoever. When I get to AIT, Berto, I'm there for 2 weeks before but I say 2 weeks before, no, I was there for 2 days before I was offered a position doing something. You and me didn't talk about this part before, but when I got there, so you come with your bags packed. You come with your bags packed, and you get called outside, and the drill sergeant has to go through all of your stuff just to make sure you don't have anything that you're not supposed to. No contraband. So they open up your bag, start dumping everything out, whoop, whoop, and you got a certain allotted time frame to be able to repack your bags, and so you can go, everybody can go back inside, so you can get to your room. And Berto, it probably took maybe 6 times for everybody to, 6 times at 30 seconds, they get 30 seconds, put your stuff back in your bag. I did it the first go around, but a lot of people just didn't get the memo. And so every time you didn't meet the standard, which what they gave you, you had to do push-ups or go run or something. So the first time, one of our drill sergeants said, take a lap around my little track. So I just take off and, go run around the track and come back. And I was the first one done. And so it must have struck some kind of like idea in our drill sergeant's head, like that guy needs to be on this team. And so I didn't know anything about this, but the next day we walk outside, and I get my name called. And I was like, oh God, I must be in trouble for something. I didn't do nothing, but I mean, you don't get your name called unless something's going on.
Exactly. You
And
always
he
think that
says,
shit.
Hallinan, you've been chosen. You've been chosen for. I got voluntold to be a part of the best warrior team, which is it's a prestigious honor and whatnot to be offered the opportunity to do this, because it's a army-wide competition for the best soldiers in the battalion or company inside the battalion. So all the companies in the battalion compete against one another with their own best soldiers. So who gets selected for this team? And so it's a series of events that you have to do, basically just to see who the best soldiers are. You go through some war type stuff. There's an obstacle course. There's a ruck run. There's a physical test, and there's a mental, and there's a test where you have to take apart like a M249 and a 240 Bravo, and a M4. So there's 3 weapons you have to take apart too. And so they're just looking for the best all around soldiers. And so I was there for 2 days, got selected for this team, and then a month later, on January, I was at January 11th. So I got there December 5th, December 6th.
You there? So you said December 6th?
Yeah, December 6th. So I got there December 6th, and on January 10th, we went on another ruck. Went on a ruck run, and we had a 6 mile ruck we had to do. And so you got a 40 to 60 pound bag on your back. It depends on what you put on your back, but for all intents and purposes, and because it's recorded, it was a 40 pound pack that was on my back. Um, but I put I had my bag on and my rucksack on, and we start to do the first mile. And the first mile was a walk, and then the second mile was going to be a run. And the moment we took a step off on the second mile, I remember it felt like someone took a knife and stabbed me in my chest. And I've never experienced that before. I've never experienced something just so acute, something so painful, and also something I can't control
And
at all.
stop right there for a second.
But
Like before you did this basic training and got to phase two, right? You was doing boxing training. You was running, right? How many miles were you running?
10 someday for once a week I would run like two, I would run 10 miles. I made it an effort to almost run like 3 to 4 miles every single day. I was hitting the bag. I was, still working out regularly, and I never
So
uh,
cardiovascular wise, like you
Gucci.
never experienced this.
Nope.
Now
I was always good.
pause pause back to present time. You're in the second mile of this ruck run and
Yeah.
you're about to take off and you feel this stabbing pain in your chest. Go
I
ahead.
took I took about 15 more steps because maybe it's just nothing. And I remember I felt like my airways just got completely closed up. I remember feeling like I was fighting to breathe. I remember I was feeling like my steps just got heavier. Like my bag now weighed 100 pounds. I felt like my chest was just caving in like this, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. So I told the guy behind me, told Adrian, the guy behind me, I said, "Hey man, you got to go in front of me." And he stops beside me because I was training with him before this too, helping him do his push-ups, do his pull-ups. We were doing some studying stuff, and he goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "You just go, just go, just go. You worry about you right now. I got to fall out." And I've never quit on anything that was physical in my life. And I turned and looked at my drill sergeant. I said, "Drill sergeant, I cannot breathe." He goes, he said, "Well, slow down." He said, "Just take some deep breaths in your nose, out your mouth, do some box breathing, da 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 da." And so I tried doing that. I thought I was having an asthma attack. That's what it felt like because I've
Mhm,
never had one before, but that's what it felt like. And
mhm,
I just remember, it felt like I was having an asthma attack. And so I just couldn't breathe. I would take these deep breaths, and it felt like I was breathing through a straw. If I breathe through my nose, straw. Breathe through my mouth, straw. And I could not get one solid breath that was, you know, just deep at all. I would try to clear some mucus out and spit up some stuff, and nothing helped. And the soldier in me wanted to keep going, keep going. My drill sergeant said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "Well, I can't." He said, "I can't. We can't just walk this whole thing. This is an event. Like you walk, run, walk, run, walk, run." And the group is probably a quarter mile ahead of me now at this point. And I'm looking at the group, and the soldier in me, the one that just won Soldier of the Cycle, is like, I want to keep going. He's like, "Do you want to quit?" I said, "No." And so we started, taking another step. But I went 15 more steps, and I was like, "Drill sergeant, I can't keep going." Um, the soldier was going to keep going. The future husband, this
mhm,
had to say, "I got to quit. I have to quit," because I had other people I had to look out for and think about at this time. And so I stopped. They had a bus come pick me up, and went back to the base and went to sick call. The very next thing I did was went to sick call. And I remember but while we waited on that van to come and pick me up, Joe Strong was just talking to me. He's like, "What are you feeling right now?" I was like, "I feel like I can't." I had to drop my bag down. I was like, "I just feel like I can't breathe." I've never experienced this part before. And when I say I thought I was having an asthma attack, I thought I was going to die. But asthma just sounded a whole lot better than dying. So
mhm.
uh, I've never had anything like that come up in my life, and it was so acute that it wasn't something that kind of built up. It was something that just happened so fast. And I tell you, it felt like a knife stabbed in my chest. It was That's what I felt. And so that was January 10th when that happened.
And and then you went to sick call, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you're gonna go see the doctor and they're gonna try to figure out what's going on. They're gonna diagnose you, right? And can you tell us what the doctor shared with you?
Yeah. So they tried to figure. Yeah. So when I went to sick, um, when I went to sick call, they thought I was having congestion. What was it? Congestion. That's what I was told.
That's what I get.
So
I
I
have
don't know if you've ever
congestion.
had
That doesn't feel
chest
like that.
congestion before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that shit don't feel
Yeah.
like
Chest
that. I have
congestion.
chest.
And I was
That
like,
don't
I
feel
was
like
like,
that.
so the sergeant is in there. The sergeant's in there. He's telling me it was chest congestion. I said, "My brother," I said, "put the stethoscope on me or something. Like, is this is not a Claritin type thing. This is something, internal." Like I did the Google thing. You're not supposed to look up Google problems, but I was on the verge of dying according to Google. But come to find out, that wasn't too far from the truth. So I ended up going to sick call. Sick call called in a chest X-ray, and go to TMC1, which is our medical clinic there. Doctor puts a stethoscope on my chest, and the chest X-ray came back completely fine. No findings there. But when the doctor put the stethoscope on my heart, he said I found a murmur. Now murmurs, a lot of people have murmurs, and they're completely fine with them. But he ordered me to go get a
MRI.
uh, not an MRI. It was ultrasounds. So we got an
Mm,
ultrasound done at the cardiology clinic, and they found out that I had something called mitral valve regurgitation. It's not something I came in with at MEPS. This is something that on that ruck, I tore a valve in my heart. So that piercing feeling that I felt, I tore a valve. And so I ended up having something called, it was a microvalve prolapse, which your body has these valves, these little flaps that allow blood to go through,
yeah.
comes back, close off, go through,
Mm,
close off. And
mm.
so one of them ended up doing this. And so there's like some like
Oh,
rubber, almost like a rubber band on one side, and it just
yeah.
gave out. And so that's what I ended up tearing. And eventually, like, over time, I was supposed to go get like what was called a mitral valve repair. And when I ultimately ended up having open heart surgery from that, um, I ended up having to get a replacement done. So the whole valve had to be replaced. So what they saw, just in the imagery and stuff like that, they saw the replacement, the repair was needed, but when they went in and actually did the full on fledged surgery, they found out I needed a whole replacement done, and so they just did it right there on the operating table. And so all from a ruck, something that felt like just this piercing pain in my chest, ended up being this life altering decision where, I got to stop rucking or I might die. And so I asked the doctor, on the second visit, I go back, I said, what could have happened if I kept going? He said, you probably were about to have a heart attack. And he said, it probably wouldn't have been very long after that somebody wouldn't be able to get to you in time. And I was
That's
like, well,
true.
thank God for this one right here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Oh
a
my
big,
God, bro. Like,
mhm.
and it's not, this has nothing to do with like genetics, hereditary history with your family, nothing.
Not
This is
at all.
nothing. Like, you came
Mm-mm.
into this, that was not one of the red flags.
Mm-mm. Nothing
You
heart
know,
related was a red flag. It was just like
exactly.
shoulders. So that was it. And this is something that happened at AIT. I told you the day, January 10th, and that was an event that probably changed the entire course of my
And
military career.
and
So,
this is something so out of out of norm. Like, this is miraculous because the simple fact that this happened to you, you actually lived through it because you stopped and you made it to the next day to go see the doctor and everything,
mhm,
and then you go through the surgery. And I my heart dropped when I saw you in the surgery on in the medical bed surgery after surgery.
yeah,
And I mean, God bless your wife for posting it. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, I felt horrible because of the fact that I was just so happy for you.
hmm,
As it, I know you. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you when we were working in Gold's Gym. You was always a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always was good people, always bright, God fearing. You know what I'm saying? You always was positive. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing negative anyone can really say about you. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And I saw, when you moved to Carolina, and then what happened with you with, we didn't talk about it, but that situation at
Hmm.
first. And you went through like this little downward spiral, and then you picked yourself up, and then you
Hmm.
started getting back in the cooking, and then you started boxing, and then you met this woman, and you got married right before you went to the military.
No, so we're not married yet. We're getting married in
You
December of this year.
proposed
But
to her before the military.
yes,
Yes,
I
there you go.
proposed
So
her December 20th of
yes,
last
so
year.
I knew I had something right, but something
Mhm.
wrong. And then you get into the military, and then this happened, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, I think
Like,
I'll share this piece with you. I think there's we it's our goal to determine what we need to do next in our lives. When something's not going right, we have to change something. Change promotes change, and I will tell you this: if you're not praying, start. If you don't believe in God, start. Start trying to seek in some way, shape, or form of what a better life for you looks like. And I remember when I started praying specifically over the things in my life, I began to have these things just brought onto me, which is like, if the I don't believe anything that's difficult in our lives is something that's not of God at all. I don't believe that God doesn't put stumbling blocks in our lives. I think we do that when something becomes difficult, something becomes taxing. We can continue working at it, but it's stupid if we stay in these seasons where something is just overbearing and just makes us feel anxious and brings on anxiety and makes us depressed and stuff like that's not things of God. That's things of this earth. And if we stay in those things, and when I began to develop this mentality, the military came on, my fiance came into my life. I started making more money. There's lots of great things that came out of that, but I started to pray that God just give me this, that His will be done in my life specifically. And I joined the military. Did something bad happen in that? Absolutely, but something better is on the other side of this because I'm able to sit there and go through this. Open heart surgery sucks. It sucked.
Yo,
I
I
had
can
this
only
thing that
imagine.
this was so great.
And
It was awful, and we
you're
can talk about it in a
rehabbing this
minute.
too, right?
Yeah.
You have to rehab that heart
Yeah,
completely.
that's part of.
And
You
how
have
is
to
that process
I got
for
like
you,
12 weeks
man?
of rehab. I've
Already?
got like 12 weeks of rehab. Yeah, I've already started it. I got off the operating table. I think my surgery was April 22nd. I walked out of the hospital 10 days later, roughly about 10 days later or so. But I had to have two open heart surgeries. I don't know if you knew that, but I had to have
Yes,
two.
yes, I did see
One
that.
was to take a
Yeah,
One was to
yeah, go
take a
ahead.
clot off my heart, which is one surgery fixed the problem. The other surgery saved my entire life. My blood pressure went down from like, man, 50 over 30. One time it was 40 over 20. And so I was probably a couple breaths away from, taking my last one before they have to, bring the little things out to shock you back. Um,
Question. Question for
but
you, right?
it was a, what's up? Mhm.
Well, now or after the fact of that happened, have you had a chance to go and look at some of the stuff that your wife posted during when you was going through this, or
Yeah,
like
I've
did
seen
you just
everything. I was,
that poor lady
go ahead and say the last part one more time.
was she literally was almost gonna cry online, bro. Like
Yeah,
I don't know,
we share a
like
lot. We
her
share a lot of
she
tears.
was she was she
I've
was
seen the stuff
breaking
she put up.
apart. She was
Well,
breaking apart
it
watching you,
was
bro.
it was a different experience seeing the one you love go through uh, something so difficult. And if it not be for our faith, I think a lot of this it'd be a lot harder. I remember, I'll share this piece with you too. When I was on I did go back through everything that we posted because I was aware of everything that was getting posted while I was in the hospital. But I remember the second time I had my surgery. I remember my prayer changed when I was on the table, and I don't know if you have you had surgery before.
Nah, man, I've been very
So
lucky, man,
you
even at
remember,
my
like
age.
when people say they saw the white light.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've heard
so
those stories.
Berto, they woke up in the middle of the surgery. When you're laying on the operating table, there's this white light right over the
Yeah,
top of you. It's almost like looking up in this super bright light. So
yeah,
I looked up and I just started to smile a little bit. And I'm crying because I'm strapped to a bed. I can't move.
yeah.
I knew they're about to cut me open the second time. I've got a scar on my chest and whatnot. And they're about to open me up. And I look up and I was like, golly, that's the white light people see. And I started to smile a little bit. I remember right before, the medicine they gave me to kind of knock me out, it's about to take on. I could feel it start to go through my body. I just remember I just need this one last time to talk to God real quick. And I can look in the room. I'm kind of flat like this, so I can't really see anything, but I can see there's a lady in the corner over here. And I remember I had this tear roll down my face, and I was like, God, just let your will be done in me. And whatever that looks like, let your will be done in me. And bro, I tell you, I felt clear as day. Something grabbed my hand. Someone grabbed my hand. I knew there was someone in that operating room that was outside of a doctor that was physically there, which is our doctor, our ultimate doctor, which I believe the guy was standing there in that room where he had an angel there with me in some capacity that
Hmm.
grabbed my hand. And when I tell you it felt physical, it felt physical. And I remember, and I just, right after I felt that, I woke up and I was in ICU again. Them pulling you know, talking about experience right there too. When you wake up from surgery, from open heart surgery, they have these tubes in your mouth
Hmm.
and they're to be able to help your heart help your lungs
Help
breathe.
you breathe.
And you're
Yeah.
hooked up to
And
so many machines and stuff like that. You're not breathing on your own yet, But when you come to, there's somebody standing over the top of you, and they're waiting for you to, kind of just become coherent. And so I'm sitting there, and I got these two tubes in my mouth, and I remember the doctor, walking me through what's going on. Okay, you just had a second sternotomy, you just had a second open heart surgery. Are you okay? Do you think you can breathe on your own right now? I said yes. For about 45 seconds, I have to hold my breath, because when they fill your lungs up, they put there's these little like sacs in there that are
Balloons.
inflated.
Yeah.
But in order for you to breathe again, they have to pull on them. So it kind of forces your lungs to kind of, try to contract and open up.
And it sucks
And so
when it pulls out. And that shit
they're
hurts the fuck
pulling
out
out
of
of
your
your
throat.
throat.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they
awful. But
literally rip it out. But one thing, I bet you was congestion free after that.
dude, bro, I was just I could not breathe at all.
Yeah, yeah. So go
But
on.
I remember when they came out all the
Yeah.
way, it was it was the biggest sigh of relief. I thought I
One
was
of the
going to die
best
3 or 4
feelings.
times in the hospital. I'll tell you that. And one of
One
them
of the
was,
best feelings ever, right?
what's that?
One of the best feelings ever.
One of the best feelings was knowing that I was alive. After all this was said and done, it's a gift to be able to wake up, and I will never take another day for granted. I will tell you that is
Oh, do you
that
think
that
you really do you really think that you was taken for granted? Like maybe a little bit complacent, but not for granted. I mean, you never really, and the reason why I say that is because, like, I mean, I listen. A lot of people can change within the years. You know what I'm saying? And we haven't communicated in quite some
Mhm.
time, right? But I spent a good amount of time with you for about roughly 3, 4 years. I don't. You was never
Yeah.
like that.
No, I can't say so. Taking a day for granted, I think, Roberto, what I mean more than I think we'll have different viewpoints on the verbiage, but I think after I say this,
Yeah,
it'll be a little bit different.
yeah.
I've never experienced dying before. I've
Oh,
never experienced the
yeah,
opportunity to
yeah.
the not the opportunity, but the close portion. Like I've almost died probably 100 times in my life, but physically, like under
Yeah.
doctoral care, like 3 or 4 times, I almost died. But when I mean take a day for granted, is I'm not going to take a day without waking up and thanking the Lord that I'm awake. I'm not
Mhm.
going to take a day before I go to sleep, thanking the Lord that I was able to live through that day, and I get the opportunity to go to bed and rest and be able to wake up and do it all again. When I say taking a day for granted, is that I've taken days away from my God, the one that's given me breath in my lungs and given me breath in my life. I've taken days away from that part. So my spiritual side of my life is very much so grown over this time frame, but. Um, I've got a lot of really great and amazing people in my life, not because of the surgery, but because of of uh, of who I've been to others, and who they've been to me. So I've got a lot of really great people around me. But I believe these are all people that God's put in my life at a specific time for me to be this specific individual for this specific thing. Like when we go to AIT training, I think AIT training was specifically for me to learn how to be a better man, not a better Apache mechanic, but to be a better human being, to be a better man, because there's this next phase of my life that's different now. I'm going to be a husband. I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a lot more than I was when I went in, and, with see what the military does with me. They may keep me, they may let me go. Either way, I've got an amazing opportunity ahead of me, because I've learned a lot through this near death experience, which has been, um, it's been great. I'll be honest with you. It's been great. Some of it has sucked, but to be able to be alive I won't take that for granted ever again. I've never almost died on an operating table. But I think I kind of needed that experience for myself to see what it means to live in a different
Well, you,
capacity. So,
well, you look great, man.
hey,
I
I
mean,
appreciate that, brother. That's, you
yeah. I
want to see
mean,
the scar?
no, I don't want to see the scar, bro.
I just,
No, don't show the scar, bro.
it's on my chest. I mean, I don't know if you can
Yeah,
show
no,
your
no, no,
chest
no,
on
no. I
face,
mean,
but
you can show it
I'll
if you
send you a
want,
picture of
but
it.
I don't want to see it. that's good.
Nah,
No,
that's cool.
you did enough by showing me you with the gown,
Oh, you didn't like the gown?
with your ass
Blue's not
out.
my
No.
color. Blue's not my color. No, no.
Well,
But
man,
this has been.
listen.
I would tell you this has been. It's been a good. It's been a different experience. Like when I told you the thing about basic training, I think the basic training part has very much so let me look at my daily life in a different capacity. When I said people look at it as it could be hard or it could be difficult, but I think all of our days are difficult,
Yeah.
but we can choose to make them hard. We can choose to
Yeah.
make them more difficult. Or I can just take that difficulty and I can learn how to make this thing easier. I can learn how to make this thing more streamlined and more efficient. When I think about those words and you change the mentality behind how you do something, you change the way the outcomes happen. You change the way that the course of your life is positioned. You change the way that you look at a heart surgery, go from being anxious to being depressed to being, man, I'm so glad that I actually have breath in my lungs and I can live and I can tell somebody about this as well. If anybody ever has some kind of like indifferent feelings in their body, go see a doctor about them. I hadn't seen a doctor in probably maybe 10 years, and that's just me throwing a number out there, but like literally seeing a doctor because I had like a sprained ankle at one point. I've done all my rehab. I've done all my own like my own Google searches and taken
Hmm.
the done the holistic approach to stuff, but like this was something that was outside of my control.
Hmm.
And I'm very thankful that I was in the military during this time frame for when this did happen. Um because I learned a valuable lesson through that. Said, I may not be cut out to ruck with 50, 60 pound bags on my back or 40 pound bags, as I said before. I may not be cut out to do that side of it anymore. Um, but I learned a lot in the process. So that was the important part for me. But yeah.
Well, I mean, we're gonna see. Well, hopefully, your future continues with the military to figure something out with you. Hopefully, this doesn't set you back, and they can find, like I said, they can find something for you to do still that's not gonna affect your heart. And I mean,
Hmm.
there's plenty of jobs out there that they can put you in that's not gonna be strenuous to your heart. So
Yeah,
that shouldn't be a. Mhm.
there's some military standards that they have for service in general. And my surgery that I had done, um, I don't think I'm overstepping any boundaries with saying this part, but the surgery that I had done um, doesn't have the capacity of my job that I have right now. It doesn't allow me to continue doing this
Oh,
specific thing.
so
There's plenty of other jobs in the military, but Berto, I
yeah,
didn't sign up to be a front
yeah.
desk worker at the base. I signed up to
No,
be an Apache. I signed up to be in aviation.
I feel
That
you.
was that's where my heart was when I started doing this, and to have to
Hmm.
turn around and do something else that would be that'd make me it feel a lot less. I would tell you that, but
Yeah.
they do have other jobs and stuff like that available. But I think they address your situation and your condition based off of where you're at right now, with what you signed up for, where you're going. Because I feel like I'd have to go back. I don't believe I'd have to go back and do basic training again, but they would send me to another AIT school, and I'll be honest, I don't think we're doing that.
Hmm.
So
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you're gonna figure out what to do. I mean, you got plenty of things to do. You got plenty of talents.
Hmm.
I don't think you're not gonna be held back. So, and like you said,
No.
this made you a better man, better leader.
Hmm. Very much so.
Okay, those are
Yeah.
those are those are qualities you could take with you to any job.
Absolutely. And plus this year, as long as after I get cleared, I will share this with you too, is I have a plan to I'm gonna start running again because I wasn't supposed to be able to run. And cardiac rehab has been going really well. Once I finish all that, get cleared by a doctor, I got a plan to be able to run a marathon by the end of next year. So I got a lot of training and stuff to do for that. So we're gonna push
A-
this. We're gonna push the envelope. I got a new heart now, so I'm good.
And and if if the concept of training applies to the heart because the heart is a muscle, you can retrain
Yep,
that. So who says that you can't
absolutely.
run a marathon?
Oh
So
no, we
yeah, I
will. I'm
see.
telling you, we will.
Yeah, I see it. I
We
see it. I
will.
see it as doable for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Well,
ain't gonna win
listen.
it. I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna win it, but I will run
Who gives a fuck if you win it, bro? You
it.
fucking finishing. That is the
Yeah,
win, bro. Like seriously.
yeah.
Like let me tell you something, bro. If I do something, right? If I'm going to run
Mm,
it, well, I'm not gonna say running because I'm never fucking running. But but if like say for example, like I tell people like I've done shooting competitions, right?
mm,
I'm not trying to win because I can't compete with these dudes that shoot thousands of rounds every week and fucking can
Mhm.
complete this 17 shot course in 2 seconds. Fuck that. I'm just here
Yeah.
just to have fun and just to get better. So like me being here is
Mhm.
just to win, like I'm not trying to be number one and nah man, it's not that. You know what I'm saying? That you get to a point where you just accomplishing it is the win. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Absolutely.
that's where you should be. That's where you're at now, bro. Like you
Mhm.
accomplished